What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Bobby Fi, Eric Tabor. We're going to be talking through this 7 and then 8 game slate. 7 game on DraftKings, 8 game on FanDuel. The projections for those of you TrueDFS / Sabersim members have not updated fully for Washington.
Oh,
well, because they announced it a little bit ago. It wasn't brand new.
I just did it like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't think most of the projections I've seen have updated correctly.
What's going on in Washington?
Alex Sarr is out, so it's going to be Holmes, Vucevic again. So one of those two. But there's a lot of other value. It's not like you need to use it. It is an opportunity. But we'll see. I want to wait till they balance it out.
Oh, Chris Middleton. I was about to say something really funny.
Chris Middleton's on the Washington.
Yeah.
Yep. He was a part of that the deal to get. It was the deal.
Chris Middleton is on Washington. Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So what? So Rashard Holmes is going to be a play? Is that the story? Or
I'm going to guess Holmes is going to start and look like a good play. I think Vucevic off the bench too, as we've seen it before with him. They split their minutes at times. So, but those guys are going to look pretty good. But there's a lot of other value out there as we expected earlier today. And the biggest thing that I noticed is I don't feel that Jokic is going to be drafted nearly enough based on any of the things I've seen. I'm sorry, Jokic.
Okay.
I said Jokovic. I just feel like with all this value, the problem is some of the value is at center. Filipowski is obvious. But I think the thing that I'd like to do is I actually think that there's multiple ways to build today. You could go the spend down route at center. But I think it's kind of interesting to play like Vucevic and Jokic and just hope you get your 140 out of those guys, which I think is very, very possible. So
when I built on FanDuel, this before the Washington stuff,
mm-hmm.
I was getting a decent amount of Jokic, actually.
Okay, good. Yeah, I like the Jokic play over there. And also you've got Filipowski as a forward eligible, so it makes some sense. I also think Vooch is in a good spot here against Philadelphia, no doubt about it. But also, Vooch, just for whatever, since he came up with Philadelphia, he kills Philadelphia every time they play in Philadelphia. I don't know about I actually didn't double check this year, but historically that's always been a thing I like. So that's the other type of way to go at center. And Vucevic, who's looking like he's going to have some ownership right now, I don't think by the time lock hits that's going to be the case.
So it just says something changed.
Yeah, I'm going over. Still nothing new on the projections in Washington. Let's see again. Run it again. Starting to do it. Starting to try and do something. Because it popped up for a minute. Why is Sarr still getting – wait, Sarr was ruled out. What is happening here? Unless they announced him back in?
No, I don't have Sarr in.
Now they keep putting his projection up and taking it off. I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, he's out. So obviously don't play him, but we do need to get a little bit of a feeling for the Washington stuff. But
when did that news come out with him being out?
About 40 minutes ago.
Oh.
But nothing changed. Not one projection changed on their team. So I've been looking. I've been monitoring because I was trying to load my exposures and on the site, but I can't do it until I get the Washington stuff because that's kind of big. Again, you don't need to necessarily do anything with it. But
who would be?
There they go. Now they've got Holmes and Vucevic both looking pretty good.
Yeah, Holmes at 27. I would have.
Yeah,
something like that. Okay.
That seems about right.
Okay. No, I'm looking at some other places and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that on FanDuel he's going to be more of a play than he is on DraftKings because I still think Filipowski is the better value, or he's the better projected value. But on FanDuel, Holmes is going to be the best point per dollar value on the slate, and he's center eligible only, which I think is, look, there's 2 ways to do it. You can go the spend up, or 3 ways. Spend up route. You could play the Holmes, or you can play Vucevic, who I think is also kind of sneaky, has maybe not quite the same upside, but he does have forward eligibility on FanDuel. So more appealing for me over there, the Vucevic play, but I certainly do like it. And I think really it's just Holmes from Washington that's going to get the
I'll tell you, one of these days we're going to find out a nice smooth way to pronounce that guy's name.
I think that is the right way to pronounce it.
Vucevic.
It's Vucevic with a K, right?
Right. No, I know that. I got to figure out a better way.
Okay, let's see. Vucevic. I might just double. I might go Vucevic tonight.
Vooch.
Vooch. Pronunciation. I'm looking it up there right now because I'm curious about this.
I wonder if he's going to be like lower owned because people can't pronounce his name.
Because they can't. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, people. It was weird. Like, actually, when Holmes started a couple of games back, when we had a similar situation, he actually was more owned off the bench than Holmes was. It sort of seems like it goes with whatever, because he was coming off a good game, and then of course it goes back the other way. It's just one of those things.
Well, I'm going to read this right now with this, and this, and then we'll see what I get. Yeah. And then once I redo the projections, then I'll build live again, because that's been running very hot.
Yeah, you've been on fire, man. Like, it's pretty crazy. And also it's crazy, like, because I don't think people realize, like, you're playing, like, when you come in second in the big one, you're playing one lineup. It's not like you're playing like 50 lineups and getting there with one of them. You know what I mean?
In the monster, you mean? Yeah.
Monster, yeah.
Yeah, but in the lotto, I'm only playing 50. Not
even that too. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm rebuilding right now too, because I was waiting on that before I just knew that it would be like the play on FanDuel. I actually put him as my core because even before they changed the projections, I knew he'd project that well. And the projections are still bouncing around. They're dropping him. They're bouncing around quite a bit with him. But I like the Vukcevic pivot a little bit as a way to get off of it. And we got, Cam is in chat asking, do I like the Svi pivot off of look, Utah you don't have to worry about till way later, but obviously you're going to be getting a lot of Utah.
Yeah.
I don't think like Svi is like a giant pivot. I don't think there's a giant ownership difference right now on FanDuel. You've got 28% for Sensabaugh and Svi is 15%. So I prefer Sensabaugh, but I have no issue with Svi. I just don't think like it's not even a decision I feel like I need to make for a while, to be honest with you. I really don't think it doesn't affect any single thing I do. And he will be lower owned, like half his owned on DraftKings, Svi. But I mean, Sensabaugh is probably the better play. But if you want to take a shot, I think that it completely makes sense to play some Svi. The one thing is Svi is a little bit of a creator. And Utah, even with all these guys out, you still have Collier and Keontae George that they're going to run everything through. So, and to some extent, Filipowski. So it's not like there's this automatic Svi thing. If you wanted to get creative and find a guy on Utah, and again, you don't have to worry about it till later, it would be Cody Williams. But you're asking for or Johnny Zhuzhang. Those would be the low owned of the Utah guys that no one's really going to play. And there's no reason why it couldn't be them instead of these other guys. And as we talked about earlier when we were talking about the, we didn't really feel like that now you don't need to play the Herder chalk, but now you're going to get the Herder option at very low ownership or lower ownership than it was going to be. It was going to be like 50% owned, probably going to be sub 10% now is my guess. Maybe you're at around 10%. All right, let's rebuild on FanDuel first, and then I'll go to DraftKings. But yeah, the guys who I'm going out of my way for, and unfortunately, I was gonna bump up the Zubac projection. Speaking of a lot of good center options, I think Zubac is a terrific option. The problem is there's all centers, so I like the double center builds on FanDuel, on DraftKings, on FanDuel. You have a lot of guys who have power forward eligibility, but I think Zubac is with no Powell and no what's his name Kawhi. I think that Harden and Zubac are both like terrific plays. They're gonna have ownership, but I think they're both in great spots. Maxie is in, says Brendan, always great to hear from you because he always gives us the news up to the minute before I see it. So Maxie is in. That's good to know. Top player on the Blazers, TJ's asking. My answer is early in the day, it looked like there was like a lot to do with. I don't really have that much interest in much. Getting some Jeremy Grant, some Scoot, some Abdia, but nothing that's screaming out to me anymore.
I was getting some Kamara earlier. Again, I have to see if it's the same situation.
Love Kamara in real life. It's just hard for me to talk myself into a guy who's literally a defensive player as a viable option at 6,100 on big slates, but he's certainly got there. He can get those, sort of like the Dyson Daniels type of play. Daniels though has a lot more involved in the offense. So anyway, so after rebuilding here, I'm going to bet that I get a whole bunch of Rashawn Holmes now on FanDuel. Let's see what we got. I'm curious where it goes on DraftKings because Filipowski and him are pretty close. I think Filipowski is the right answer, but if you're going to get lower ownership, I'm certainly tempted. Yeah. So okay, I've got my updates here, and I changed the price. Like I changed the projections on basically all of I bumped up all of Miami and all of Denver. Basically, I just think I say it every day. Basically, you gotta just when you're playing Atlanta, when you're playing Indiana, you just sort of have to. When you're playing Chicago, for that matter, kind of just have to like bump up everybody. And by the way, Maxey, I don't know, Maxey on FanDuel, I get it, like he's 9,800, but he's still in play, and on DraftKings at 9K, it just is too cheap.
And what about Paul George?
It is what it is. I don't know what to do with it. I will not go out of my way to play any of it, but I'm sure I'm going to end up with some. I'm just going to go back and say that this has not worked yet. He had a game with no Maxey played. He had no Maxey, no Embiid, basically nothing on the team except for him, and he had 2 real-life points in that game in 30-something minutes. So I don't know. Who can you pivot off of Paul George? I don't think you need to I don't think you need a direct pivot off of Paul George. And again, I'm getting too much of it as it is right now. It's too good of a matchup to just ignore it. But I'm just going to remind everybody it has not been a good thing so far this year. Maybe the best pivot would be like his teammate Kelly Oubre, but that's.
What about the big guy, Yabusele?
Like Yabusele, yeah. More on DraftKings than in FanDuel, but I do like him, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at my exposures right now on FanDuel, and yeah, George. And look, you know me with the Utah thing. They spread out the minutes. It irritates me, but you just can't avoid it when there's this many guys out. George, Filipowski, Collier, then Sensabaugh are my 4 favorites as of right now.
Looks as though Sensabaugh is going to be real. I am really popular.
Yeah. What do we have for minutes? Let me see if there's anything we can poke holes in here to try and take him off.
Well, I mean, not poke holes, but remember, it's a late game. So, I mean,
yeah.
You can
they
see
still only got him at 25 minutes on SaberSim, and he still projects really well. Yeah, and it's a reasonable matchup on top of it. But I would wait. It doesn't feel amazing, but it is what it is. It's extreme value, and it's later in the day, so it's kind of what we have to roll with for right now. But I'm getting all the Harden too. Harden is my highest owned spend up, followed on FanDuel, followed by Zubac in terms of like over 8K. And then I like Sabonis, but I'd really like to get over on this Jokic play. I'd like to be over the field on that one.
I mean, you can either get to it or you can. You know what I mean? I think you should be able to get to it.
You can get to it, but like you don't. The problem is the guys you want to use to usually get to the guy are playing the same position. So
no, I mean, don't you want like Herter and
I don't want Herter. But...
Well, I mean, listen, if you just want to get to freaking Jokic, and you know what I mean, like
yeah,
$3,600 at a position way away from him on the board of it. Seems like someone you want to play, no?
Yeah, it's fine. It's completely fine. I'm not excited about it. It will not surprise me if Herter plays like 12 minutes tonight. The ones I could use though, like I think the Utah guys are a little more interesting because somebody's going to have to eat up the usage and the minutes. So at least Filipowski has power forward on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's a little different as a site. What do we have here?
All right, so I'm going to update. I'm going to put my I'm going to build here again, and here's one thing again. I'm just reporting it. You could, if you wanted to use SaberSim and create your own custom fields from like your own ownerships, as opposed to using SaberSim's stock fields. This is the way you do it. So then you put like whatever the sheets fields or whatever you want to put in there. So that when you pick your fields to simulate against with your lineups, you could just say, you know what, screw SaberSim, I'm better. I can create my own fields and my ownership's better, and it'll do it for you. All I'll say is this, okay? Again, I try, and then in back-to-back nights, this is what happened. One night, I put my custom fields on DraftKings, and the stock Stevenson Fields on FanDuel that night, I won the FanDuel lottery. The following day, I swapped it, and I did the stock on DraftKings, and my customized fancy was on FanDuel. Got blown out on FanDuel and almost won the DraftKings lottery. Okay, so my fancy ones are just no good. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't say no good, but until you can be really sure that you know what you're doing and making your own custom fields, I really would go with the regular favorites ones. That is my humble advice to everybody.
Yeah. And look, there's as we always say, there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. I've got my new method of just altering the projections enough to where I get to a number I want more than the min maxing, because that was not working for me. And that's what I try to do. And when we go into the Discord, when I go into the Discord and do the live stuff in there, whether it's before lock or after lock, I'm trying to let everybody on our site know sort of which ones I'm going over. I don't want to tell everyone for free, because I do feel like there's some value in having it as for site people. But I'll give everybody a rough estimate. Okay. Go ahead, Chiefs.
Oh, do you want me to talk through this? You got other stuff going. Okay, go ahead.
No. I was going to say that the other one I had was I actually think there's more upside for Killian Hayes than maybe I thought. Like I was thinking about, because you mentioned the what's it called play, the Herder play. If I was going to get up, I think I'd rather take a shot on guys like Vukcevic, however we pronounce it, and Killian Hayes than I would on the other. And for whatever reason, I am getting very little of Holmes in my latest build on FanDuel, which really surprises me. I honestly don't entirely understand, nor do I agree with it. So I'm going to have to change something a little bit. It just feels a little bit wrong to not have any of it at 4,300.
So I went with Min Uniques 4 tonight. And again, for those that are watching this for the first time, and when you go Min Uniques 4, I mean, this is my experience, is it's not like you're going to really dilute your top plays all that much. You're still going to get a good amount of your top plays, but you're just going to get a lot more, dispersion among the rest of your lineups of the other plays. So, and what you're going to end up getting, I mean, this is just the way the math works. Is we talked about this. Like when I win tournaments, like playing like this, it's always one lineup that's all the way out to the right, okay, of everybody else.
Right.
And that's just what happens when you don't have, a big, like 6 or 7 guys in the same lineup looking the same. You're not going to get, if you play this way. I mean, for me at least, I never have that big conglomerate, of a lineup, 2nd, 4th, 9th, and 12th in like a lottery. You know what I mean? I just don't get that. So again, but if you want to, if you have a lot of faith in your takes and a lot of faith in your projection, whatever, then go Min Uniques 1, and you're just taking more risk, and more risk, can lead to more reward. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that, but just gotta know what you're getting yourself into.
Yep, absolutely.
So you see, I went autofill again, so it's gonna give me. I'm not gonna have any lineups the same in these contests. So if there's a tie between which lineup would go into which contest, like the alley-oop would get precedence. And for whatever reason, I just rate it by fee. I mean, like, this is the way I prioritize it. Like, I care less if what lineup goes in the fadeaway, honestly. But if like my top lineup doesn't make it into the alley-oop that belonged in there, I'm not going to be happy about it. So that's why I kind of did this.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And I do it. I've been using the direct fill more just because of the way we play. And that's what Jordan suggested for my style. I went through it all with him before.
I figured. Oh, you had a talk with him?
No. This is a while back. I still haven't had the new one yet. And just to remind everybody, I am out tomorrow night. I am out Friday and Saturday, Friday through Monday. I won't be back either.
And tomorrow as well.
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow morning I'll be here.
Tomorrow for like live, you mean? You won't be.
Yeah, I won't be here for live. I'm getting my kid for his birthday.
I'm on
19.
Wow,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm on.
Feels like it snuck up on me.
All right, FanDuel. Let's do the same thing. And this one actually I'm playing 150 because it's only $5.
Yeah,
150. So let's do the same thing. We will upload, and again, I will do this one day. I'll do it from the interface so that people see exactly. Do it from the TrueDFS interface, but right now, I'm not even going to create my own field anymore for a while until I figure out what's going on with that. I mean, I'm telling you, but that day where I won on FanDuel on DraftKings, you should have seen what the DraftKings lineup looked like. I mean, I literally played 60 lineups in the lottery. I cashed in one. It was like amazing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
TJ's asking, is Shea worth paying up for? I mean, I'll just put it this way. I wouldn't be playing Shea unless I was playing Edwards already.
Just to get the correlation there?
Yeah, and also, like, I don't really know how that game, how they need everything from Shea unless that game stays close and you get the fourth quarter run. And if you get the fourth quarter run, that means Minnesota stayed close. The only way that happens is probably Anthony Edwards going nuts, which I think is very much on the table, by the way. Anthony Edwards is one of the guys I bumped up the most today. I can go ahead and say that one.
Anthony Edwards?
Yeah. Although as I bumped him up, they keep bumping him up. The sites keep bumping him up now. So now I'm having to bump him up even more just to get ahead of his other projections. I'd like to be over the field on him. And I think he takes this stuff, he takes this stuff personally, man. Shea is, everybody considers, the MVP, all these things. Edwards is probably just a notch below, but like he brings it. And he gets there every time I question whether I'm going to play him or not or anything. I don't really know what I'm worried about. Like, he just doesn't have bad games the way that they're currently constructed with even if Gobert was back, which he's not, but with no Gobert and no Julius Randle, it's just him and Naz Reid. That's why Naz Reid is now 8K. And Naz Reid, by the way, even at 8K, people overlook it, but like he's been over 40 in 9 out of his last 10. He just put up 60 the other day against OKC in the same matchup. Put up 48 in the last game against OKC. It's another guy who's reasonable, who no one's going to get to. All right. So maybe that's another one, too, that I can bump up his projection just a little bit. I got Edwards, and we'll make Reed. And yet he's projected for 37, which I'm not saying he's not going to hit 37, but we just haven't seen that version of him without the other guys.
So what does it look like? So we have 4 games at 7, 1 at 7:30, 1 at 8, and then an hour until Portland, Utah. I'm looking at FanDuel. You get another one.
Yeah.
You get Charlotte, Sacramento, and I'm sure you probably get a DraftKings showdown slate for that one, maybe.
Probably.
Let's see. Let's do
the bonus is, he would be my favorite piece.
There it is, Chicago at Sacramento. Wow, 20K for first. They're giving it.
We might have to get in on that.
Oh my God. I'm not doing that. Oh God, it's sort of filling, but not exactly. But it's half filled.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's the max enters probably.
You think it's going to fill? I mean,
yeah.
FanDuel,
I question things filling sometimes. I never really question it on DraftKings. TJ saying,
we got to get Adam Perry out. Adam plays all these things.
Yeah. He doesn't play, but he doesn't do as much with the NBA. And he's actually out here in California for a family trip right now. But I didn't get a chance to see him because he's down south in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. And Adam says he's putting Chris Dunn in all of his lineups. I am not going to.
What team is he on?
Clippers.
Oh yeah, he was my hero the other day. That's right.
Yeah. You get the right night.
He was one of those guys that kind of filled in the 4-man unique thing. Like I had the core with Miles Bridges and the actual good players.
Yeah.
And I remember I posted in one of the Discords and I watched him. You didn't even seem to like Chris Dunn. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even know he existed. But he was like one of the guys that filled in the lineups when you go min uniques for. It just shows up there sometimes. I had the Chris Dunn and Scoot Henderson in that lineup combined for like 3% ownership between the two.
Right, between all of them.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking over on FanDuel, and it's very similar in terms of my ownership, except for I'm getting way more KJ Martin on DraftKings than I am on FanDuel, and way more Oubre on DraftKings than I am on FanDuel. But because I bumped up the projection, and look, I need the game to stay close. I also can do my late swapping, but Anthony Edwards at 50% at low ownership. I like those kind of plays because you can win a slate with a guy like that. He could be the highest scoring player tonight, and none of us would say anything, would think anything of it.
So just for fun, I will show what my exposures are. But again, here's the big disclaimer. Okay, Number one is that I could run him again before lock. Maybe I won't though. But when you late swap properly, meaning that you're like in front of the computer or whatever, you're going to be changing these lines. Bye, honey. During the day, and Mrs. Sheets is going to be out, so I have no excuse. You know, I
got to play well.
I gotta play well. So, but with that said, like right now, let's see. View exposed. Right now, I have like all this Utah stuff, but I do have also 47% Quentin Grimes. So that's some early exposure. But and I have 38% Josh Giddey.
It's a lot.
That's interesting.
I don't hate the Giddey thing. I didn't get there myself very much, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, and what I like about it is Utah, Portland, Utah. You know, like all this stuff can be flippity floppy. You know what I mean? Like a little later, if I have to.
Yeah.
That's NBA. I'm not anything else. Yeah. What any questions in here? I mean,
I've been sort of going through them. T was asking about any hero today. I love this spot for hero so much. It's just the general rule is jump shooters on a back-to-back. It just doesn't usually work very well.
Well, that's a long time ago. We were talking about that, right?
Yeah, it's been a while, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he put up and also he's coming off of like 70 or something yesterday. Pretty crazy. It's really weird how like the NBA is different from baseball because baseball wants to keep integrity and have this stuff. Although now they're talking about the golden at bat rule or whatever. But like, I swear, if Michael Jordan played now, I'd be surprised if he averaged less than 40. Really surprised. I actually think he'd be more like in the low, like maybe like 42 or 43 would be his average, somewhere around there. I think Kobe'd be the same type of thing.
What's the golden bat thing again?
They might do the thing where you can I actually love this rule for the sport. Like, I really think it's cool. It's just everybody hates it because it's not traditional. But you get whatever hitter you can have put up in any spot one time in the game. I love it. It increases the strategy. It gets it's nice in baseball. The problem with baseball, it's annoying. Like you go to see one guy hit 4 times and maybe only see 4 pitches in some cases.
So can he bat like twice in a row too? I mean, like
that's the thing. So like when Ohtani strikes out with nobody out with the bases loaded, do you just send him right back up there again? You know? Can
you pull him off the base paths?
I don't think you can pull him out. I don't think so. That's a good question. But this is
they're going to do the I hear they're doing the robot the eagle eye umps in minors now.
Yep.
Or in the preseason, whatever.
It's only a matter of time before it happens full time. It's just so stupid that it wouldn't happen. Well, if they didn't want it to happen, don't put that box on all of our screens and have everybody tell us whether it was a real strike or not. Our job shouldn't be trying to grade how good of a job the umpire's doing.
That's right.
And enjoy the game, you know.
But that's I don't know. That's part of the charm, right? To figure out what umpire is in the game and stuff like that. I don't know. I think that's
like a little bit, but like in general, like somebody's strike zone, whether what a 70-year-old man thinks about his strike zone is just should not be a factor. And you showed me the great video of all time, the Braves playoff game. That was the
Eric Gregg strike zone.
He could have just like I mean that was a game 7 to go to the World Series.
But it was consistent.
He was consistently wherever.
It was consistent.
If you didn't swing, it was a strike.
The other team the Braves had no business taking any pitches.
That's true. At some point, you gotta realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another question here about Andrew Wiggins. I think Wiggins has more of a role here, and you could do like he's going to be fine. I'm not going. Another one of those guys. I'm not touching his projection. I'll take what I get given of him. I'm not trying to go out of my way to play him. I do think Bam and Hero are guys I would go a little bit out of my way to play, but I just don't in general feel that Wiggins is a guy I need to go out of my way. But I could feel very different in a week. And so far from his early results with Miami, he's been good.
Okay, it's actually a good question. I want to talk about this for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Kicks is saying I'm getting 476ers on one team. Is that too many on one team? So if you had asked me this question like 2 years ago, what I would have said is a couple of things. And I learned a lot of this from you, it's 2 things. Number one, it depends on how much salary it's taking up, for one thing. The other thing I would say is that if you're going to have 4 on one team, you probably should have someone on the other team.
Yep.
That's the other thing. Now, with that said, since I started with the SaberSim and trusting that their analysis of games and lineups a little bit more, I started to not worry about it. And that whatever I get, I just kind of get. But that is sort of a lazy way of looking at it. You still probably should consider the general tenets, that I just spoke about. Bobby, for someone that still, you still like look at like all your lineups and see pretty much like what you got. Like, do you like set rules like minimum, not minimum something else, but do you set rules like max 4, or if you see like 5 on a team, you'll just say, screw this, I'll take one out?
It really depends on the slate and the team. And tonight I wouldn't have an issue.
Wait, Vooch out.
Yeah, I know. I'm adjusting right now. I'm just trying to figure it out in real time. So that's going to mean
wait, which Vooch?
No, yeah, right. It's going to be Vooch out, and it's going to be – I honestly don't know what they do because we usually have Jalen Smith as an option. Do they want to play big? They don't need to play big against this team. They can play all their guards if they want to. I think Zach Collins is probably going to be the one.
Jalen Smith is out too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Zach Collins.
Is he on the team?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Zach Collins is now on the Bulls.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see him in the list of players under Chicago.
He's got almost a 5x projection already.
Oh, I don't see it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, he's and I think he's going to now be the new king of the
value.
Yeah. And to guys, I'm going to try and upload. I'll get out of here in a few minutes. I'll try to update my stuff. It's really hard to update exposures when something like this happens, and then we need another 15 minutes, and then I'm trying to hand build my lineups at the same time. So anybody who's a site member, just know I'll be in the Discord. I'll be in the Discord, and I'll be doing basically what me and Cheese are doing, but I'll show my screen. I'll show exactly what I'm doing.
Wait. So Zach Collins just is power forward eligible on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Is he power forward eligible on DraftKings too?
No.
Ooh.
The weirdest part is I already had some Zach Collins lineups.
You should get credit for that somehow.
Yeah, I feel like there should be like a bonus or something. If you already knew this, yeah, it's worth twice as much or something.
You know what might help also? Who's the center for Philly today?
It's
Selly?
But Drummond is available tonight too, so they'll I'd imagine they'll continue starting Yabusele. Maybe not. They have nothing to really continue with anything. Yabusele's been good, but I don't think that the Sixers what a miserable, sad, horrible, horrendous, disgusting season.
So this is the schedule, just so you guys know. So Bobby's going to go into the private Discord, for paid members and take care of them. What I'm going to do is I am going to wait about 7 minutes, maybe 10, for the projection to update. And I will do another set of projections, but I'm not going to lie to you. It's possible they're not up until 5 to 7, where it'll be just telling you, it'll be probably good enough in time for me to capitalize on them, but not the site, only because you'll have to know when they go up. It's just really, really hard. So I'll try to get them up there, but if I can't, just rely on the SaberSim ones. That's the best I can tell you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good, buddy. All right. Well, have a great night, Sheets. Hopefully you can do it again. If not, hopefully one of us can do it. One of the TrueDFS.
Hey, Bobby, thanks for the 74 people in here. That's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, we were up over 80 a minute ago. We're gonna keep it rolling.
Well, because they all went to change their Vooch lineup.